Midfield Formula One teams pulling off wild overtakes that get increasingly more insane. F1 has seen plenty of bold and wild overtakes in its history. But let's be honest, these moves are even better when an underdog pulls them off. Do you enjoy our F1 content? Then make sure to like this video, subscribe to our channel, and turn on notifications so you don't miss out on the updates. Enjoy the video. Not even a slower car can stop good drivers from showing off their talents. Check out the wild moves done by drivers at the wheel of some midfield equipment. Ayrton Senna on Niki Lauda, 1984 Monaco Grand Prix. Senna's drive in the 1984 Monaco Grand Prix is widely regarded as one of the best in his career. Then a rookie driving for the small Toleman team, Senna displayed his wet weather heroics as well as his talent around the Principality. With a bold move around the outside of Lauda's McLaren into Saint-Devote, Senna moved up to second place. Over the next laps, Senna continued to close down the gap to race leader Alain Prost, but the race was red flagged not too long after that. George Russell on Daniel Kvyat and Robert Kubica, 2019 Austrian Grand Prix. As the reigning Formula 2 champion, Russell graduated to F1 in 2019. Driving for the uncompetitive Williams in order to gain experience, the then Mercedes Jr. showed his credentials only a few races into the season. During the Austrian Grand Prix, Russell closed in on the Toro Rosso of Daniel Kvyat, who was battling Russell's teammate, Robert Kubica. With the DRS help, Russell overtook both drivers down the back straight and held on to the position into Turn 2. Daniel Kvyat on Alexander Albon and Sergio Pérez, 2020 Emilia-Romagna Grand Prix. In what would turn out to be his final season in F1, Daniel Kvyat delivered a fine move at Imola. After moving in behind the Red Bull of Alexander Albon and the Racing Point of Sergio Pérez, the Russian took advantage of the slipstream, positioned his AlphaTauri around the outside, and completed the double move into Tamburello. Kamui Kobayashi on Sebastian Vettel and Mark Webber, 2012 Brazilian Grand Prix. Interlagos was a special place for Kobayashi, where he had made his F1 debut 3 years earlier. During the chaotic 2012 title decider, the Japanese driver didn't mind the fact that Sebastian Vettel was battling for the championship. On the restart, Kobayashi got a good slipstream down the main straight and pulled to the inside of Vettel's car, with Webber moving to the outside. Kobayashi casually got by both Red Bulls, making the move look easy. Pastor Maldonado on Max Verstappen, 2015 Austrian Grand Prix. Maldonado became known for his reckless style and for being one of the most error-prone drivers in F1 history. But, on occasion, the controversial Venezuelan driver also showed flashes of speed. During the 2015 Austrian Grand Prix, Maldonado set up a nice overtake on rookie sensation Max Verstappen. After faking it to the inside, the Lotus driver went back to the outside and forced Verstappen to outbrake himself. The Dutchman slid off the track, and Maldonado completed the move. Nico Hülkenberg on Kevin Magnussen, 2014 Monaco Grand Prix. Hülkenberg and Magnussen had their fair share of run-ins in F1, and one of their first battles happened during the 2014 Monaco Grand Prix. Hülkenberg spotted a very small gap heading into Portier, and the German didn't hesitate. The Force India driver licked the stamp and sent it to the inside of Magnussen's McLaren, forcing his way past the Dane rookie to take the position. Robert Kubica on Adrian Sutil, 2010 Singapore Grand Prix. With BMW leaving F1 at the end of 2009, Kubica moved to Renault for 2010, replacing his good friend Fernando Alonso. The Pole consistently outperformed his car and delivered some impressive moves on the track. During the Singapore Grand Prix, Kubica produced one of his finest drives in F1. After suffering a puncture with 15 laps to go, the Pole pitted for fresh tires and went on a tear, pulling off 9 overtakes around one of the tightest tracks in F1. And in his best move of that race, Kubica lined up a move on Adrian Sutil into Turn 7. Sweeping around the outside, the Renault driver got past the Force India to move up another spot. Sergio Pérez on Felipe Massa, 2016 Belgian Grand Prix. Pérez spent most of his career building a solid reputation in the midfield. Before getting his big break at Red Bull, the Mexican driver delivered some good performances for Force India. During the 2016 Belgian Grand Prix, Pérez closed in on Massa down the Kemmel Straight. Using the slipstream, the Mexican lined up a move on the outside of Les Combe. With each driver leaving just enough room, the two cars almost banged wheels, but Perez was eventually able to squeeze through. Nick Hülkenberg on Fernando Alonso. 2005 Monaco Grand Prix. The 2005 Monaco Grand Prix was a tough one for Renault. The team's heavy rear axle led to massive tire wear, and both Alonso and teammate Giancarlo Fisichella finished the race with their groove tires looking like slicks. Hülkenberg took advantage of it to score his second podium of the season, with a bold and very late lunge down the inside into the Nouvelle chicane. Quick Nick got by the future world champion to move into second place. Alexander Albon on Daniel Ricciardo and Esteban Ocon. 2024 Canadian Grand Prix. Getting a double overtake into one of the tightest corners in F1 is not an easy feat. Add heavy rain into the equation, and things get even dicier. During the 2024 Canadian Grand Prix, Alexander Albon took advantage of Williams' straight line speed to pull off a daring double move. After slicing past the RB of Daniel Ricciardo, the Thai driver positioned his car down the inside of Esteban Ocon. Albon managed to outbrake the Alpine into the turn 12 to 13 chicane and completed a beautiful overtake. Jean Alesi on Ayrton Senna, 1990 US Grand Prix. Over the course of his career, Alesi became a fan favorite for his aggressive driving style and amazing displays of car control. The Frenchman put the F1 world on notice during the 1990 US Grand Prix. In only his second season, Alesi took the fight to none other than Ayrton Senna in the season opener. Around the tight Phoenix Street circuit, Alesi took the lead of the race early on in the run. On lap 34, a charging Senna caught up to the Frenchman's Tyrrell. The Brazilian lined up a move down the inside into turn 1 and got by without too much trouble. However, Senna left the inside on the short run down into turn 2 wide open, inviting Alesi to try his luck. With a daring move against the much faster McLaren, Alesi managed to outbrake Senna and retook the lead. The Frenchman eventually finished second, but his heroic drive helped secure a move to Ferrari the following year. Jacques Laffite on Stephen Johansson, 1986 Monaco Grand Prix. After spending 2 dreadful years in 1983 and 1984, Ligier managed to recover for 1985, thanks to the return of its longtime driver Jacques Laffite. And in 1986, the Frenchman delivered one of the greatest drives in the history of the Principality. Having qualified an already impressive 7th, Laffite was forced to start last because of an oil leak. The French veteran then proceeded to pick one position after another, eventually moving up to 8th. Heading into the notoriously tight Rascasse, Laffite managed to get his Ligier alongside the Ferrari of Stephen Johansson and somehow pulled off one of the most amazing overtakes ever seen around Monaco. Stephen Bellof on René Arnoux, 1984 Monaco Grand Prix. Widely regarded as one of F1's greatest unfulfilled talents, Stephen Bellof scored what would be his first and only podium in the 1984 Monaco Grand Prix. While the race is remembered for Senna's heroics, Bellof was actually the fastest driver on track when the action was suspended. On his way to the podium, the young German star made one of the best moves from that season. With a bold lunge down the inside into Mirabeau Haut, Bellof found just enough of a gap to fit his Tyrrell. He got squeezed against the wall, but held on and eventually got past Arnout's Ferrari, holding a slide into the hairpin along the way. Bellof was retroactively disqualified from the race at the end of the year following Tyrrell's infamous double fuel tank scandal, but that took nothing away from his Monaco heroics in the rain. Pierre Gasly on Sergio Pérez, 2020 Belgian Grand Prix. Overtaking into Redillion is one of the wildest moves a driver can pull off, and doing so in an F1 car is even crazier. During the 2020 Belgian Grand Prix, Gasly went for a move on Sergio Pérez down the inside of the main straight. The Mexican hung on, squeezing his rival against the wall, and the pair went side by side into Eau Rouge, almost banging wheels. Gasly hung on to the outside of Eau Rouge and then took the inside into Redillion, completely his ambitious move. Kamui Kobayashi on Kazuki Nakajima, 2009 Brazilian Grand Prix. Kobayashi was the sensation of the final 2 races in 2009. The future fan favorite made waves with his aggressive driving style. In his first ever F1 start, subbing in for the injured Timo Glock at Interlagos, Kobayashi had little trouble going side by side and almost banging wheels with champion-elect Jenson Button early in the race. A few laps later, the Japanese rookie pulled off an even more audacious move on Countryman and his future boss in the WEC. Kazuki Nakajima. After getting overtaken by Nakajima on the main straight, Kobayashi used the slipstream to line up a very late move into the Senna S's. Braking hard, Kobayashi went around the outside of the first leg, got squeezed by Nakajima into the second leg, and even with 2 wheels on the grass, he kept his foot stuck in. Nakajima was forced to concede, and Kobayashi completed the move, going around the outside of Curva do Sol. Max Verstappen on Sergio Pérez, 2015 Brazilian Grand Prix. Verstappen pulled off a number of aggressive moves during his impressive rookie season in 2015. The best one came near the end of the season at Interlagos. In his first visit to the track, the Dutchman went for a move around the outside of future teammate Sergio Pérez into the Senna S's. The Mexican driver, who was racing for Force India back then, squeezed Verstappen against the curb, but young Max was having none of it. Verstappen stuck it in, rode the curb on the inside, banged wheels, and eventually forced his way past Perez into Curva do Sol. Kamui Kobayashi on Adrian Sutil, 2011 Monaco Grand Prix. Kobayashi made his NASCAR debut in 2023, but the Japanese driver had already pulled off a NASCAR-style move 12 years earlier. During the 2011 Monaco Grand Prix, Kobayashi saw an almost non-existent gap into Mirabeau. With his Sauber completely sideways, the Japanese driver banged wheels with Sutil, forced the German wide, and somehow made this impossible move stick. These are the wildest overtakes you will see from midfield teams. Do you remember other iconic moves pulled off by the underdogs? Share them with us down in the comments. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.